record it on this computer, and then Kim, I'll send it over to you after. Okay? All right, friends. So welcome to Rituals to Rise. And what I'm going to share with you today is my mindful journey to financial and time freedom. And I'm just checking. Can you all hear me okay? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And you can see my slides?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
We're rolling. Okay. So let's get going. All right. So why did I put this together? Is because I've always felt like we can always make more money, right? We can also borrow money. We can save money. You know, money is one of those fluid things that we can manipulate as we need it, but we cannot do that with time. And so for me, time became like my most valued asset that I could work with. And I really wanted to maximize my time. And so what I found was being intentional about that made it so that I could do this thing that I call Rise. And why are we talking about this today? And one thing I think that we learned from 2020 is that now more than ever, prioritizing and systemizing our time will gain us that time and money freedom. And one of the things that's really important is toward our own vision of success. So I am a woman who has children, has parents that are ailing, has in-law parents that are ailing. I have a husband. I live on a farm. At one point in time, I had over 50 animals. I owned a real estate company. I have a real estate school. I'm part of the realtor leadership. So all these things going on. And so as this is all moving and as I'm doing my own thing, one thing I realize is that my idea of success is going to be different than your idea of success. All right. So I wanted to tell on myself. So when the pandemic hit, I was in this time and money freedom. I was maximizing your time so you can get it all in. And I was working on this thing. I've been working on rituals. It used to be 365. Now it's Rituals to Rise. And I've been doing this for years. And the idea being that we can segment our time, we can maximize our time by being on top of it. But last year, and we were getting, and the planner is now out and the planner is available, but we've been working on this, again, truly for years. We went the alpha phase, the beta phase, and now we're getting it into production. As I was doing that last year, I'm like, what if I created templates for my days? And what if I took my day and I segmented it and I just, rather than having to figure it out every day, I just applied these templates. And I think it's create, sustain, and I don't even know what the last one is. I can't see it because I'm looking at you guys. So I forgot about this because right as this happened, right? And what was going on in my professional life was that I took on a business partner for Bold Real Estate so that I could spend more time on instruction. We had moved Bold Real Estate away from the building I was in. I was creating this educational center here. And I was like, all these really cool things were going to be going on here. And then so that's when this was coming out, right? And then in the course of a minute, it changed. It felt like to me, and anyways, I just wanted to point this out because I feel like this is insanity. If you look at my day, and I thought that this was time freedom, right? So, wow. Social update, P90X, daily morning, my morning writing, sit, write, go to the office, live, do yoga. I do a live video every single morning, video, Canvas, and Plero, video, and I'm like, this is insane. To think that I thought that was freedom to me now just kind of really was a big wake up call for you. And this is where that word awakening came in. And I didn't find that until I was putting this together for you guys. So that was me telling on myself. I'm a big teller on myselfer. All right. So, but it gave us a chance to reevaluate. And I felt like that was one of the gifts of that. And I don't know, am I the only one here or did you guys get a little bit of a feeling of that also?
Yeah.
Right? and I am telling you that, it is scary as hell. So this is me. Right? I have so many ideas. I am a creative person. And if I dare say so, I have amazing ideas. But this is what my life actually looks like. Okay? This is me. If you asked anyone who knew me, they'd be like, yes, that girl is a shit show. So, is this what happens? Do we balance between this, I think I've got a great idea, I'm so creative, I'm executing my ideas, or am I all over the place? This gives you an example, right? This is in the course of the last 5 years, who I am, where have I been? Everything seemed like such a good idea at the time, right? If I was going to be an instructor, well, then I need to have a school. And if I have a school, but then I should like start an instructor guild for everybody. And then I should have, if I like marketing and we know marketing, how about we start a marketing company? And how about we do this? And how about the destination hometown could be used anywhere? It's for reviews, all of these things. And it was just like that map I showed you. It was crazy. But one thing that was really important to me, and this was a gift that I got from the pandemic, was remembering my big why. So this is my family. And I just want to, like, right in the front and center on the picture here, that girl that's sitting there with the camo sweatshirt on, she's one of my daughters. She was a preemie. She has had chronic migraines all her life. She was one of those ones that I had to like coddle in a way. At least I so thought, right? Well, so she became a nurse, and she did a 3-year accelerated program. And she is a COVID nurse, and she's been a COVID nurse. And like, to be a mom, watching your daughter go through like first of all, the heartbreak. Second of all, my husband, and maybe you can tell by his flannel pajama bottoms he's wearing out at this bonfire, right? He's a bit of what I call a swamp Yankee, right? So he's like, well, she can't come in the house. I'm like, she's my daughter. She's coming in the house. We're doing whatever. So we had all of these transitions. The girl that's right behind her, that's my other daughter. She needed surgery she tore her 3rd ACL, right? So when this all hit, we had a lot going on. My husband, my son back there and his girlfriend, they've been okay, actually. They have been so bad. Now, on the right, you see, this is us at one of our service events that we did for my real estate company. That's me doing a split in front, right? And that's all of them laughing at that I'm putting this out there for, I think it was newspaper. I was just being a joker, but they're my big why. That picture down there of our paddleboarding is up in Vermont. We get away. My husband and I made a commitment that 1 weekend a month we'd get away to Vermont, so that we can just make sure that we stay in contact with each other. However, I fall in the trap of when people say to me, how do you do it all? Do you guys get that question ever?
All the time.
And do you feel sometimes, like, I gotta be honest, like I feel a little, how do I do it all? I know, right? When they say that. But really, I think it's a lie. I think it's a trap. It's that busyness trap. And this right here, again, this is my leadership. That's me when I got Realtor of the Year for the state. That's one of my classes. That's one of my my sales. And he actually came to work for me, and they're having a baby, right? So, and then up there, that's one of my tracker programs that's going out to a company. So it's like all of these things when people say, how do you do it all? And the thing that I want to make sure that I do is when I'm doing one thing, I want to be ninja mindful on that one thing, right? So when I'm with my family, I don't want to have the laptop on on my lap. If I am up in Vermont, when we're up there, we're unplugged, and we kept it that way. In my big why, I put on my pins just for you guys today. I couldn't find my CRS one, but I put on my realtor pin, and then I put on a pin of like traveling, like a little jalopy or something, like for camping and all that kind of thing. Cause I never want to forget why I want to do what I do. And that's to enhance my life. So Rise is a training program that's designed to launch, inspire, empower, educate, and create a thriving realtor. And it's like how to create that life that you want. And here's the thing. So again, RISE actually stands for rituals, which we're going to talk about, intentions, systems, and execution. And honestly, today, we're going to kind of just hang in the rituals, intentions kind of umbrella, because it's because of our time. And also because I just want to set your mind thinking about things. All right. Now, what rituals so it's rituals, it's organization, it's goal setting, calendar mastery, and then time, money, wellness tracking. Now, a ritual definition is any activity that is done in such a system or fashion that it becomes a no-brainer activity. So the idea being that the most things that we can ritualize, the less amount of energy we're going to be spending on them, right? So there are no-brainer activities. So the more that we can put, and that's back to that calendar I made for myself, was like, if I could create a template and I just put that template on it, I would have to have no-brainer activities. And so the more I could do that, the more energy I'd have for everything else. Now this right here, and again, I'm telling on myself again, and if you guys join my Rituals to Rise, 6:30 in the morning, it's on Facebook group and it's also on YouTube, you'll learn all about this, but you'll see me 90% of the time in a black t-shirt, and I'll throw a color on top. And the reason for that is I don't have to think. I roll out of bed at 4:30, I throw on my black bottoms, my black top, and I throw a color on later for work, but I don't have to think about it, and I'm comfortable. So that is one of my rituals. And again, believe you me, I've been made fun of for that, like more times than you guys could ever imagine, but it works. And so anyways, so this is an example of the rituals that is in the planner that I created. Okay. And the first part of it, and actually I'm going to do a little teaser here because I want you to think about this as we're looking at this. We all, as realtors, can start anything, and we're great when we start. I've been training agents for over 15 years, right? Because I've had my company for 16, 17 years. So they're great out of the gate, and then they're gone. And I'm like, where did you go? And the thing that I found, which is I still can't understand it, is why did we do something that was so awesome up to the day we don't do it, right? So if I am on a diet, let's say, and I am saying I'm going to have a green drink every morning, and I have it every morning, and then one day I don't do it, and then 3 months goes by and I still haven't had another green drink. What happened, right? For business, you know, you're making calls, you're doing certain things, you're sending out your thank you notes. I'm a huge believer in gratitude marketing. And at different times, I mean, I'm so on my game. It's so paying off. I love it so much. And then something happens, upsets my apple cart. It's gone for a day and it's gone, right? So my goal in all of this, quite frankly, was to crack the code on staying. How do we stay doing what we're doing? So I thought what was happening behind the scenes is that we because we are, you know, in the business for ourselves, and we are you Inc., as I always say, we're not getting enough yay girls or guys, right? We're not getting like a good job or attaboy. We're not getting that because we're doing it on our own. So we're not getting that piece. So some of the thought about this was like the affirmation for this morning, right? Every morning. How am I feeling today? Like boots on the ground. How am I doing today? Am I tired? Am I sluggish? Did I jump out of bed? Am I excited to attack my things? Am I overwhelmed? Am I like, how am I doing that day? Because when you own how you're feeling from the beginning, then you know how to pivot and change accordingly. I will tell you, most of the time when I wake up in the morning, I like jump out of bed, right? And I want to get going because to me, those magic morning hours are the hours that are my favorites of the day. Now you saw, I don't know if you looked, I take a nap most afternoons. So that's how that works for me. Anyways, a power list. This came from Andy Friselli. I actually threw that in there because my business partner loves it. It's the 5 things that you commit to that day, and you check them off as you go along. So what 5 things do you commit to doing? And then then you have your calendar for the day, just, you know, as I say, for me, and this is, again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just want to point this out. For me, I have a financial goal I want for my real estate. I have a goal on what I want to do in my school, right? I know if I have 4 appointments booked a day, no matter what they are, then I'm going to hit my numbers, right? So so for me to look at that at a glance, I see 4 things down. I know I'm taking my next step that day. I'm doing my next right thing that day. If I look toward the week and I have other, you know, we didn't talk about the weeklies in here, but if I look at the week and I don't see those 4, I know I got to get myself booking, right? And this could be anything, right? So for me, it's bringing, you see all these plants behind me? Did anyone like make the assumption that I'm a great green thumb? No, I'm plant sitting, right? One of my crazy clients sold her house, doesn't have anywhere to go quite yet, and is like devastated that her plants didn't have anywhere to go. I'm like, I'll take them. Katie Black Thumb will take them. Anyway, so then we have, now again, I practiced real estate all through my children from them being babies until they went away to college and graduated, right? So, and I lived on a farm. So I had a lot of things that had to get done that were non-real estate related. So I had to make sure I got them on there too. And if you look on the bottom where it says time block, that's an image of, if you put the boulders in first, the big things that are non-negotiable, and you work the other things around it, then you can get everything into that day. However, if you start with the urgent, not important things, you're never going to get to those big things. So that's my reminder on there. And here's the last piece I'm going to say about this is accomplishments. I legit write down everything that I accomplish as the day's going by, because you know what? No one's going to acknowledge me, right? So I said, well, what if I started looking at that, you know, and for me, a lot of times I'm working on projects. So I don't have like a deliverable that day. So if I write down my accomplishments in the course of the day, then I'm like, wow, at the end of the day and I review it, I'm like, you did do a good job today, girl, you know? So anyways, the accomplishments, the whole idea about this is to stay. And what can we do to keep us staying? And then over here, this is a tracker. It's actually my time, food, exercise, and money. So tracking it during the day. Now, I don't know about you. When the iPhone came out with a calendar on it, like my life changed for the better. And I was never late again. I was always on time. I also had like my day there, and I became so much better at time management because of the calendar on the phone. What I didn't have was arcs, right? And we're going to talk about that, like the journey. I stayed in the day, and my long-term things didn't happen. So back to that planner. The other thing is I have bought every single planner that's been out there, right? I guess as it turns out, that your little youngest daughter of mine has ADHD. And when I was there at the doctor's with her, they looked at me and they said, and so do you, by the way. And I'm like, okay, then I got to figure it out. That's why I feel like this all the time, So anyway, so one of the things we did was we created that first tracker that we just looked at for her and then for me, and so we customized it. But I also have all of these there's 6 pages that are for every single day. I write in 2 little spots, flip, 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 all the blank papers. Next thing that I have, flip, flip, flip. And then all I do is I use it for notes, right? And in the wrong spots. So has anyone ever heard of Rocketbook? My hand's up. Has anyone heard of Rocketbook? So Rocketbook is a notebook. It's paper that is erasable. And so I said, I want that for my planner because I want to take my day, scan it in at the end of the day, put it into a folder on my Drive. I use Drive. You could do whatever you want. And I can access it from any time, but I wipe it off at the end of the day. And you know what? That feels pretty freaking amazing also, right? So what we did for this was it's called Magic Paper. I call it Magic Paper. It's erasable, it's waterproof, it's reusable, right? And so what people have been doing is, because it's a customizable program for a lot of people, is we have been customizing them every month and adding in different monthly plans. But anyways, the bottom line is that it's this, and where is it? Anyway, it's not here. So it's thin, right? It's 20 pages, but that's something that can throw in your bag. You can have with you wherever you go. And there's constant updates to the system. You cloud it easily. It avoids clutter, and it's green. Now it's kind of cool because this is what mine looks like now, right? So you saw my first page there. So it's just filled in, and also, every meeting, being prepared for every meeting. So anyway, that's what we've been doing now, because this is what I talked to you about before. I want us to stay doing in our business. So this right here on the right is one of my associates. We do a lot of teamwork together. We're creating Popeye gifts. And do you see this sea glass? We're making sea glass trees, right? So we're going to go and stop by. And I'm like, my people are so sick of me bringing food. They're like, they see me coming and they're like, I've gained 10 pounds from you, right? So I'm like, okay, then let's give you some sea glass this time. So we're creating something for them. The whole idea about creativity is part of that staying. And so, so that's, I think, what the key is. And again, that affirmation that I talked about in the morning, how am I feeling? Some of the words that I've seen: inspired, concerned, satisfied, optimistic, impulsive, confident. There's so many different things that can be out there. Those daily tasks I talked about, just as a reminder, right? Those, to make sure that we can fit everything into our mason jars, we have to start with the big items that are non-negotiable. And those might be very well for us right now: doctor's appointments, blah, blah, blah. And, whatever it is that you have to do on a regular basis. Hold on a sec. I'm just going to take a peek. I did say I call it Magic Paper. I call it Magic Paper. It's not really called Magic Paper. Rocketbook is the first that I saw on that. So, but and we could talk about that more. I have researched this. I've been waiting for it to come out in a mass point for that's why before it was on those laminates, because we started with laminates, and I waited until it was something that we could pick up and put the program on. So anyway, super, super cool. Anyways, back to our prospects and oops, I'm sorry. When we started getting all into doing Zoom, and my computer started jumping, I'm like, I got to get another computer, and it jumps too. And the other thing on this part right here is the follow-up. My question always on the just doing a checklist is that if someone goes on your checklist, when do they come off? And how does that work for you? All right, so our day plans. What will I accomplish today? That's something we talked about. Now, again, we cannot stop doing our basics of our calls made and our notes that we're sending. For me, that is the foundation of our business. So that is something that we can, to me, is like a hard stop on what we need to do. How do we just check in to make sure we're doing it? So what I do is there's just a little spot on there and I just write the initials in there. Now that's not my database, right? These have to go into my database later. So I know that, but it's going to make it so that I have a record of that. And I want to tell a story about this. And so these are some of the custom cards. As I said, the name of the company is Bold, right? So we've got all sorts of like bold little cards that we had custom made. So on my database that we created from there is I had sent out, so every day, 5 cards, whatever. One day, like we started a Bold Day Challenge, which was 1 card a day, just to get the agents to actually finally do it. And I had sent out one and I wrote it down. So all the things you're asking me will be answered. It's all through Agent Rising, which is my company, that I can link you toward it or whatever. A lot of them have been custom, right? We had them made. And that is something that we could do for you if you want. Again, so don't worry about that. But you can have, honestly, that being said, right? I have a CMA appointment tomorrow. So I wanted to get a picture on a greeting card out to them beforehand. I used Walgreens photo, right? So there are certain fast fixes that you could do for anything, really. Anyways, back to this. When you are tracking what it is that you're saying, you can make sure that you don't duplicate saying the same thing twice, because you really lose integrity if the same card gets sent out. And then accomplishments. As I said, the whole idea about accomplishments is that we are getting recognized. We are giving ourselves thank yous, right? We're like, woohoo, thank you for us, right? We were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed, that's supposed to say with seeds of greatness. So that was Zig Ziglar. And the whole idea is that we have to celebrate this. You guys, we get beaten up in real estate so badly all the time. Again, I think that's why I love our hearts, because I know that we do it because we know that we're helping people and we are so uniquely able to help them. And it's so awesome to be able to. However, who's going to say good job? Like your broker's too busy, right? Your broker is like freaking trying to keep the doors open half the time. And your clients are maybe at the end. I always say it's like with clients, it's like going through, when you're going through the whole transaction, they're evil to you because you're the person that they can yell at, right? And you're the person they could be nasty to, right? And you're like, oh my God. And then at the closing, as you're sitting there, and I call this like having a baby, right? And the baby's coming out, right? And all of a sudden they're going through the closing. And again, this is pre-pandemic when we could go to closings. And when they come out the other side, now they love you, but they didn't love you during it. And nobody said good job for you going the extra mile except yourself. So some ideas on goal setting, my goals that I declare, I think it's important to have that bucket list. This is me, what is it called? Jumping out of an airplane. Interestingly, I broke my back about 2 months later. Had I not taken that opportunity, I never would have been able to do it, And so I feel like we have to live, right? Live big. Now, another thing is a streak counter. So on my daily items on that page that I don't think I showed you that one, there's a daily streak counter. So for me, I wanted to give up Diet Coke. And I tried for so long. I mean, I'm not kidding. I was like, I am in love with Diet Coke. My love did not go away. But what happened was, as I started counting it, as the streak got more and more and more, I was like, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to go off my streak for this. Fitness goals, money goals, tracking your money, knowing what you're doing, like this whole idea about having a streak. Again, playing games with yourself, practicing that mindful, success journey. And promise. I always like to have something that's achievable. And so that 30-day promise is that challenge you give yourself on whatever. And that could be thank you notes. That could be calling 5 people a day. Your past people, retain your people. I am not about cold calling. I am not about doing any leads that I don't know those people. When they were younger, my kids were younger, it was because I needed to work with people who understood there'd be a child on my leg and there might be throw up on my shirt, right? So, but now I don't want to spend time with strangers. I want to spend time with people who I have a relationship with. So anyways, and then stretch goals, because I feel like we need to stretch. And what I realized is that in search of that balance. So I rank on 1 to 10. I call this a flat tire exercise: finances, fitness, family and friends, fun, philanthropy, and faith. So you go and you rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being most awesome. And then you map it on here. And there's actually another piece of it that has it all written in which one so that you can do it. And what you find from there is where your flat tire is. And the first time I did this exercise was really the most profound for me. What I found was that my flat tire was finances. And I was like of the thought, like, as long as there was money in the bank, because I was hustling, you know, as long as there was money in the bank, I was okay. What I didn't realize was I did not talk to my husband about money on a regular basis. He has no idea what I make, you know, and he has no idea like even what a transaction is, you know, like, so I said, all right, so my husband and I, we're going to talk about money every day. When I said that to him, he's like, what? And he goes, why? What's going on? Right? And I said, nothing. I just want us to start communicating about money. I want us to start creating the future financial life that we want. And he's like, all right. So anyways, the final F is follow through, right? So we want to make sure that you follow through with it. But again, it's that inner game. One of the things I found is that we can't get everything done today. And maybe you're having some ideas on this. And the idea is to carry it, right? So my task to carry over. And so I have a spot for those things that need to be carried over and making sure that nothing falls off my map. You know, I can tell you, and this is, I am a very right now real estate agent. So if someone says to me, I'm not ready to sell, right? Which we know is a lie. So I don't know why I was listening. And so I said, okay, great. Well, this is where we're at. You know, let me know when you're ready. And of course, 2 weeks later, the sign goes up with someone else, right? I should have had them on my carryover. What is Brian Buffini, I think, calls them not ripe apples, right? That was my not ripe apple. And then the next part is fear. And there's a lot of people that believe that fear is like the base of all things that don't work out, right? And maybe some that do. And so there's this activity, and this is from Tim Ferriss, who I just love. He did the 4-hour work week, and it's fear setting. And he does it a little differently than I do. This is his right here. Define what you're afraid of. What's the fear, right? And let's just say what I use, well, we'll use mine later. Then prevent is what would prevent you? What would reduce the likelihood of that happening? And then repair. If the situation does happen, what would you get back or to get yourself on the right track? So this is his fear setting exercise. I kind of tweaked it a little for what you have on the Rise Planner. And that is, what are we afraid of? And let's just use, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm afraid I won't finish, right? My goal has always been to finish a marathon. This isn't my goal, just saying, right? But it's something we can relate to. So I say, I'm afraid that I won't finish, right? So then I say, so that's my fear. And then I say, all right, so what is the worst thing that could happen? I get to mile 20 and I hit Heartbreak Hill and I can't get up it. I cramp and I have to, you know, and I can't finish. My friends have to bring me home. I walk the finish line because I can't run anymore. All these things, right? So that's what I'm afraid is going to happen. That's my outcome that I'm afraid of. Now, the last part on mine is, did we fail forward? Right? So what happened while I was practicing? I ran 10 half marathons. I joined this running group, which I really love. I'm in the best shape of my life. I've probably added 5 natural years onto my life, and I feel really good, right? So all of those things happened, even though I didn't get that marathon in. So one of the things that, if you hear what I'm saying, is that even in our fears of failure, we're failing forward. And I say this a lot to new agents when they say, oh, I didn't get that listing. I'm like, all right, then let's talk about all the good things that did happen. Like, I understand your fear, but let's talk about the good things that happened, what you learned and whatever to get there. And next time it might not be that failure. So very important. We don't identify our fears. And, you know, this is in there, and it's something that when I hit a roadblock with somebody, right? So we hit a roadblock together and I can't get past why you're not doing something, right? And if you guys can tell by my energy, like I am a very nice person, but I don't understand the reticence, right? I'm like, because I throw myself out there as ridiculous as I will look, you know? And I'm like, I don't understand why you won't do anything, you know? And so one of the things I've realized is it's fear. Even if you don't want to label it fear, and if that's not even the name you gave it, that's okay. But let's just talk about it. Are you afraid to go to that market analysis because you're afraid you won't get it? Are you afraid to tell everybody that you're taking a real estate class because you may not pass the test? So just walking through it. you know, they say that fears are like the number one thing that stop us from achieving anything or our goals, right? And so what I'm here to say is, you know, fail and fail again. And that's how you're going to succeed. All right. So I told you earlier about all of my amazing ideas that I have, right? And I showed you how I tried to do them all at once and how's that working for me kind of thing, right? So one of the things that has been the coolest activity has been a parking lot. And I call it my goals too soon accomplished. So we're talking and I have this great idea. We're going to do this. And my idea starts to grow and formulate. And I'm like, I got it. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't have time for that. Like you're in the middle of finishing up your template for the tracker or the planner. You don't, you know, you're right in the middle of getting your website finished. You're in the middle of expanding. Again, this pandemic has been very busy for my real estate school, right? So you're in the middle of a lot of things that already have gotten a yes from you. You got to park that for now. And this is a very effective tool also for if you're working with somebody. I love the people who come into like real estate world and they have every creative idea possible, but they don't want to be uncreative. And I always say, you have to be uncreative before you can be creative. You know, like you can't go and start wholesaling by finding people that are tenants or whatever. Like you got to start by getting your teeth, you know, into as my husband, my brother calls it, like there's still meat on the bone. Like you got to get in there and you got to get for it. All right, so tracking goals to actuals. And we understand this, right? This is one of the, like there's a whole template of spreadsheets. And this is just a screenshot from one that talks about that reverse engineering about what I have to do on a daily basis to get to where I want to go. And as I had said to you earlier, for me, I can boil it down to 4 appointments a day. And again, they're not all like real estate, like belly to belly ones. They're like the whole bit, delivering soup, or sea glass, or, you know, checking on someone, or having someone say, like, they're everything that goes into it. Going to the planning board meeting, like whatever it is, right? However you embed yourself in your community, they're all included in there in my appointments. So I want to be clear, they're not all real estate appointments, or as what we think of as real estate appointments. Now, this was something that I learned from Jim Collins, who did Good to Great and a whole bunch of other things. And I think it was in his Flywheel book that he talked about, although I'm not sure, that for him, he knew that if he spent 3 hours a day doing, I think it was writing, then everything else would fall into place. So find that nugget, like your North Star, that is going to tell you that everything else is going to work out okay, right? For me, as I said, I do those appointments, that works for me. And for other people, it's whatever works for you. But what you have to do is you have to be your own scientist on yourself. And you have to start tracking, and you have to start, you know, looking through to see where the outcomes come in, right? So I start tracking it, I start seeing it, and I'm like, all right, I get it now. Now I see where it's coming from. I realize that those thank you notes can never leave my life because at least 50% of my business comes from that, right? Or whatever your North Star is, you know? And it's funny because as I said, like I do not like purchase leads. I whatever. For whatever reason. And people who do and that like them and that's their business model, they almost apologize to me. And I want to say that that's not the point. The point is that we find what works for us. There's nobody who's going to make you successful if you're, if you're not on board, right? So you figure out your vision of success. All right. And then, and one of the things that I found when I went back to just working my iPhone was that I did not have strategies and arcs, and I didn't know where I was going. I was in the day. And one of the things that I think a lot of us do is we communicate a lot on social media and we tell stories. So someone says to me, how can I ever think about what to say on all those things on social media? How do I do it? So I'm like, you have to be a storyteller. You can document, not create. You know, you can start with some templates that you follow, but you have to tell stories. And here's a little tip on what I do. So weekly, I'll put out one at least, the real estate market. There's an embarrassment of abundance of stats that we can pull and use, right? And you take them and you create them on your own. You make a little template for it. You put it out there. Community mayor, being part of the community is huge. We just did over the holidays, like a shop local, like campaign, if you will. And then what I said to, and I do this weekly show with my business partner called Real Law Estate. She's a lawyer with Patty and Kate. And so we're putting out these little socials. I said, why don't we have them on real estate? So we had a panel of all these local people, you know, the alpaca farm, you like that? Boston. So anyways, so you become a community mayor. It is so important. It has never been more important than it is right now. And then a personal professional share. So you won't, well, first of all, pretty much most of my life is not off limits anyways, but you won't find me being negative on any social media. And you won't find me dissing or whatever, because I believe that it's all part of our business. And for me, I made that decision that I was going to be positive. I'm a pretty positive person anyways, and I look for positivity. However, I think it's a mistake for us to be not positive. Anyway, so those are your 3 shares, at least one a week, right? So that would be something to get out there. The other is every morning and every night for 15 minutes is do what I call 555, 5 likes. Again, I like to give the hearts or the care one that's going on now, whatever the emoji is, that's yours. That, you know, that like it, then comment on them. So, you know, one of the ways that that people get to recognize our name is that they see us like in there, like again, right? We want affirmations. If you're saying something good to someone, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that Fern, she's so awesome. She likes what I'm doing, you know, and then the others share it out. Like with CRS, like so many good things to share out, and just be like that ambassador. And so we have so many tools that make it so easy. But you know what? I get burned out and I don't want to do this. So I make, again, a ritual. The no-brainer activity is 15 in the morning, 15 at night, right? Because that I can do. I can make that no-brainer. And anyway, so that is a big piece to this, is being part of the community. I will tell you another thing about well, I think I probably talked about it. So let me just wait. All right. So yes, my Rituals to Rise is every morning at 6:30. So it's now on my Facebook group, which is Rituals to Rise. It's on YouTube. It's not on LinkedIn. That's a big lie, because it said it was going to go on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn doesn't want me yet. I think I need more people. But anyways, the thing is that I started when Live came out. I live in a small little town, and my office is in a small little town. So if I want to get my message out there to people, guess what? It's not going to be in my small little town. So I went as soon as, and it was on Periscope. When Periscope came up with live video, I'm like, I'm getting on Periscope. I'm going to start learning how to do live video. Now, I got to tell you something. Like I'm so grateful that no one goes to Periscope, because I was so bad, right? They were so bad. And I was like, what can I do every day? And I think I mentioned earlier, I had broken my back. And my profession before real estate was fitness. So I'm like, I'm going to do a workout every morning so I can get in shape and I can get myself doing something every day. So I started with fitness, and then it became about business. And now it's pretty much all business, because that was what people responded to. And anyways, so this is every morning at 6:30 a.m. Do you like me there with a ring light and my cords everywhere? So anyways, that is something that's been super fun. And someone says, well, why did you do Facebook? Don't we all hate Facebook now? I'm like, yeah, I might hate Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know if I hate him, because I don't know him, but like I might hate what they stand for, but that's where my avatar lives, right? My person who I'm trying to work with goes there. So if that's where they go, then that's where I'm going to go, right? I've been playing with TikTok, and I'm not there yet. But I'm pretty sure that none of my avatars are over, maybe a handful are over on TikTok, right? So I don't have time for it right now. That's in the parking lot, right? So anyways, so amplification of message. So many, like even Kim found me by a video, right? And that's the other thing. By doing video every day, I got better at it. And my dad, I don't know, you didn't see him. He just walked in and he's yelling from the back, slow down. So didn't work so much, but I got better at it. I learned how to think on my feet. And when I hear me using my filler words, I put them up there and I try to get away from it. So we get better at it. Now, like when the pandemic hit, I was already a certified distance educator. I was already doing live programs online. It was an easy transition for me. Easier, not easy. It wasn't easy. But for many people who are like, I'm not going there. You know, my thing is like, they're going to meet you anyways. They're going to notice that you have a double chin and you got wrinkles. Oh, by the way, can I tell you something? I just got contacts, right? So the first day I put my contacts in, I'm like, whoa, wow, that must have taken a lot out of me. I'm so stressed. Like, look at like my eyes, like they look exhausted, right? So then the next day we had trouble with it. Then I put them in again yesterday, and I looked at myself. I'm like, wow, I can't believe how much it takes out of you. Like, then I started laughing. I'm like, no, that's what you look like. You haven't been able to see what you look like for a long time. I'm like, damn. Anyway, my point is being authentic is really important. Doing what you love in front of it consistently. If you don't want to have video with you on it, then video your town, be a business spotlight with it on them, do whatever, chronicle, as I say, Gary Vee says, document, don't create, do what works for you and who you best serve. This is like, I just want to show you this. This is like some of those with the beginnings and the middles, and they're all over the place. There's thousands and thousands of them now. And it was just by doing it one day. Now people say, how can you possibly think about something to do every single day? I follow my rituals. So Sunday is reset. I don't do it on Sunday or Saturday regularly, right? So Sunday is reset. That's when I spend my time going over my planner for the week. I set myself up. I see if there's not those 4 appointments. I see if anybody from last week needs to be carried over. I reset my week on Sunday, not Monday, because people want us back, right? So Monday I investigate. Investigate by what I mean by that is what do I need to do to make this an amazing week? Right? And I investigate and I dig in a little. Tuesday is touch. So today I talked about emotions and on it. I talked about like the 3 emotions we can name are happy, sad, mad, but there's like 30 emotions and what's happening with our communication with masks. Wednesday is up level. A lot of times I'll have a guest on Wednesdays. And I also, we'll share the things that I'm learning and what I'm doing. Thursday is act. Again, it's getting out in that community and again, a lot of times catching people doing things right. Friday is learn. We do a book club right now. Right now we're reading Lee Brown's Peeling the Onion, which by the way, I thought was going to be funny. It's not funny. It's pretty serious. I was like, anyway, so learn. So we go through a book club together. And then Saturday is self-care. So those are the things that I do on my Sunday night strategy session. And my pipeline at a glance at this stage of the game is my carryover, my sellers, my buyers, just so that no one falls off the table. And then a 30-day promise to myself that's achievable and my 90-day stretch. So I'm just checking in on it. Now there's activities in this. So you have 2 things for you. Number 1 is we're going to do an activity shortly. And I put the link right at the beginning of the chat if you want to download it, but you don't need to because it's all on here. And the other is on agentrising.com under the blog, which is called News, is the slide deck for today. So I should have told you that at the beginning. You don't have to take pictures. You can have everything I have, friends. It's all yours. Anyways, this part right here is when you're starting to think like, all right, if I've got to do this, what can I do? Does anybody here cook? Like cook well? And do you have a kitchen that can be on video? Right? I joke about that because I don't. I will never have a kitchen that I can do. Like my kitchen is whatever. So maybe you start by saying, how can we heal with foods? Or you take something that's related to homes and real estate, but is not exactly it, right? So that was me with the wellness and the fitness and the catching up and being where you're at. But so this is part of a mind map for it. And also you can do sticky notes, as I say, if you're a sticky note person. And how many people did either a mind map for the year or a vision board or some sort of activity? Did anybody? Yes, because you do not see the link. Okay, all right, so it's, oh, you know what? Let me see. It's me at the very beginning, but I think I can post it again. Thank you. Hold on one sec. It's also on agentrising.com on that. They both are, but there. Okay. So thank you. I'm sorry about that. I guess I didn't press send. So visually create your images. So do that that vision board, or however you do it. Canva has one. So if you guys are using Canva for creating your socials, Canva has a little mind map, and you can actually pull pictures and videos from what it is that you want. This is what I did last year. I cheated and just did it on Canva. I did it for like one of the Rise programs, but but it's important that we decide what we want. All right. Now, when you are talking about creating your story or creating what it is that you want to do, so you want to have something in there for all of our learners, right? For the whys, the whats, the hows, and the what ifs. And, if you see like perceiving and processing and doing and watching. So there's a whole thing behind this, but the takeaway I want you to have is when you're creating your story in your arc, you want to make sure that you are touching on all of them for that person that doesn't think like you, right? So there are people that like, that they say that I'm just not their cup of tea. And this just goes through about a little bit more. Now, this is not my image, and it is actually online right now, so I'll probably take it down when and switch it out, but it will be there for you guys. And it just talks about connecting and attending and imagine and forming and all that kind of good stuff. And here it is in just a little simpler wheel. All right, so as I'm going through this, my 2020 word of the year was hell yes or no, right? I needed to simplify. I needed to clarify. I wanted to get rid of like people that I just didn't want in my life. I let a lot of people go from my business. Like, and they were there and they were okay, but I was settling for what they were giving me, you know. And when that pandemic hit, I was like, you know what, this is a good time to cleanse, right? Because really we're in charge of our destiny. And I didn't have to be mean about it. I didn't have to be like, you know, I let them go. I said they could go get their collecting. They can do whatever they want. But I just, at this point in time, didn't see them. I wanted to own my businesses. I wanted to understand all of it because I know that we are our own business. And if something is not happening for you that you want, you have to look in the mirror. All right. You have to. And you have to like analyze, like, where am I at? And you have to like, I invite you to take a look at that and really focus on who it is that you want to be and who you want to be with. For me, a lot of it had to do with who I wanted to be with and my sphere of influence. Your brand should be a natural extension of you. And I know that you guys, you look to be that. Most of you look like you've been practicing real estate. You all look like you got yourself together and all that. So you probably already have this, but have you looked at it in a while, right? I had not looked at mine in a while. And one of the things I learned about who I want to serve are actually those people who really need service, you know, like the lady who had to move, right? And these are her plants. And she cared more about her plants than she cared about anything else. And so anyways, make it natural, not forced, and do what you love. All right. So one thing on this is nimble or fickle. I have been called both. All right. And it's like your vision on who you want to be should not change. How you get there may change. And the slight adjustments can change a whole course. So this goes back to, you know, when the pandemic hit, it was a great excuse for us to really look at what's going on. And even still. And now on a sailboat, is anybody here a sailor? So on a sailboat, there's a little tab on that bottom of the boat called the trim tab. And it's a tiny little thing. And just by adjusting that trim tab, you can change the course of where you're going, you know, and it's just this tiny little tweak and things can change. And so for you, if you're finding like, what's holding me back, or I'm exhausted every day, right? For me, it had to do a lot with where was my energy? You know, one of the things, and I don't know that I actually call it that anymore, is what brings you energy, what takes energy away, right? If it's not a hell yes, then get it out, delegate it out, refer it out, right? And then brand yourself and become an optimized professional. So focus stands for follow one course until successful. I was super good at following one course until almost successful, right? I showed you all of my logos. I was great at finding logos for them all. All right, so COVID-19, how are you guys doing on this? And are you frantically selling? Like, is it like we're just responding to all of the stuff that's going on, or we're managing? Have you done an emotional assessment of yourself? And the reason I say this is because when I was doing those videos every morning and I couldn't sleep because of my daughter, and I was like the one that was the nurse, and I was so afraid for her. And I was also, her heart broke, like seeing people die, like she came home a broken girl, you know, and she's a woman now. And I just like, as a mom, I could not deal with it, you know? And so I was doing a video in the morning and I thought I was talking about vulnerability. And I thought I was like saying, hey guys, we all are vulnerable. You know, what is it that you're vulnerable about? I thought I was like helping everyone. And one of my best friends, a gentleman that I went through leadership with, wrote to me and he said, hey, you have got to get some sleep. Like, and don't come back to this until you are ready, because I was just a raw nerve and I was on edge. And I went back and I looked at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's right. Like, do you have a person who can be honest about that with you? I so respected him for that, you know? And it's also, what do you really want? And, you know, I was a person, I've been very challenged by this whole masking and the mask shaming and whatnot, right? And I just feel like I finally had to make a decision. And once I made a decision, my decision was easy. And that was, I'm going to wear a mask every time I'm out. I'm going to have anyone in my office wears a mask, and anyone who's part of anybody I'm showing to or whatever is wearing a mask, right? Because what you would find, you go back the second house to someone's, to their house, and they're like, oh, it's my home. I don't need to wear a mask in my home. And I'm like, oh, but again, I could, whatever, you get my point. So what I want you to do, and this is what we're going to do now, is we're going to do a little activity, and it's still January, so it's still considered a year-end review. We're going to see what needs to expand, and we're going to see what we want to put on our don't do list. And I do appreciate that we are in an accelerated market. And I also believe that COVID has accelerated all of the tools that we would have gotten to at some point. We're all on virtual now. So many people got their bomb, they're into video and all that kind of thing. As I say, it's start where you're at, and people are going to love you for your humanity and for who you are. You do not have to be somebody else. All right, so let's go through this together. This is, again, if you've downloaded it, great. Otherwise, just a pen and paper is perfect, or just walk through it with me. One of the things I always tell my online school is I just want you to absorb the moment, right? You can always go back later and get the rest of it out of there. I just want us to do this though. And this is from Tim Ferriss also, and he calls it his year-end review. It's like, go through your calendar from the last year. So to me, that would be going through all of those scans that I put into my I still call it Rocketbook, my Rocketbook folder, even though it's not a Rocketbook anymore. But that's, so I go through all of those. I also went through my phone, right? Because my phone also had a lot more insight in there about what I actually had been doing. So go through it, looking at every week, not just the things you remember. For each week, jot down any people or activities or commitments that triggered either peak positive or peak negative emotions for that month. Put them in the respective columns. All right, so I'm just going to share this. And again, I'm being vulnerable, so someone's going to yell at me. But I really hated working for people that gave me that mask crap. You know what I mean? Like we were deemed that people trusted us to be professionals and be whatever. So that brought negative for me. Those people that were like, oh yeah, like that's crap, blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to do that. I go see my mother-in-law who would die if she gets COVID. I see her 4 times a day, right? So it's important to me. So then you put on the calendar, right? So then you put in the more of, so the plus, all the things you want to do, all the things that brought you energy. Did you guys start walking outside in the woods, right? My husband and I bike in the woods every day. And I can tell you, a lot of people started walking in the woods. So did you start doing something that you love doing? And I'm going to bet as things have changed, that went off your calendar, right? Did you start journaling, right? Whatever it was. Did you start doing something new, like doing senior bingo on Zoom for your client base? Like, what did you do? That was awesome. Put it on your calendar. So this means it's not good enough just to put it on the good list. You're going to actually pull it out, and I think it's the next slide, so we'll talk about it. Now, in the less of, that's going to go, just a little teaser here, on your don't do list. And you're going to figure out a way to not be doing those activities, because our time optimization and our success and our feelings come from that. Again, so once you've gone through the past year, look at the lists and what 20% of each column produced the most reliable or powerful peaks, right? And you will be surprised by this. I will just tell you, like, I only remembered, I feel like I had an amnesia for half the year, because I lost a lot of that. Based on those answers, take your positive leaders and schedule them into your new year. Get them on the calendar now. So book things with friends and prepay for activities, events, or communities that you know work, or commitments that you know work, right? It's not real until it's on the calendar. So again, back to my husband. One of the biggest gifts was going away for this is why whatever, going away just to our little place up in Vermont where we never talked to anybody. We did break the rules going there, but we did it anyways. That was a highlight. So this year I said, Danny, what if we make half of those a 3-day weekend, right? So I expanded on it. And then other things I didn't like doing, right? So that was, again, cultivating that business of people I want to work with and tweaking the edges and not having people do things in my business that I didn't want them to do. So anyways, not real till it's on the calendar. This is just a little calendar for you to like blot it out. And one of the things I think is really important is let's remember this and have it stay fresh all year. So put something down for every month, right? So, and again, I know COVID's here. I know that we're not going to be able to have the group getting together. So when I said that thing about like the bingo with seniors, right? Have some family bingo calls every Friday night or once a month. Last Friday of the month is going to be family bingo night on Zoom. you know, and do something. Like if you want to, like, I'll tell you this, I stayed very good in touch with my husband's family. My family, we did not do as much together. And toward the end of the year, one of the things I realized was I want to spend more time with my bio family. You know, how do I make that happen? Anyways, and honestly, one of the reasons why was because we were pretty divided politically. So once that was over, I made it a little easier. All right, step 2 was take your negative leaders and put them on a don't do list and put them somewhere you can see them each morning for the first few weeks. And so I'm going to say from now, all right, these are the people and things that you know make you miserable, sap you and drain you of energy. That to me is my, again, when I was talking about those North Stars, if I am leaving, okay, let's just say I'm involved in leadership, and every time I went to this committee meeting, I left there like drained and exhausted and like PO'd and, you know, just like dead, right? Then I know that that's not the direction for me, right? So again, do not put these people on your calendar out of obligation, guilt, or fear of missing out or other nonsense, and decide that you don't need them, right? So if it's a again, back to that person that really made me mad about not putting his mask on when I was in their house, then he thought he had COVID, right? Like, do not work with people that you do not want to work with. Refer them out, right? We have an abundance right now of business. So really cultivate the people that you want to work with. And I know it's hard, especially if you're starting out and you're like, oh no, I cannot give away that money. You will more than make up for it. And it's not enough to remove the negative, right? You have to get the positives on your calendar as soon as possible. Does anybody have anything that they just, as I'm saying this, and that you might have thought about that you want to share with me? Us, I should say. About that do or that don't do. Have any of you guys been involved in that at all?
Well, I just want to say that I have, one of the things that I did do this past year, especially during the pandemic, is I have, there's 6 of us, friends that I've known, all of them since high school, some of them since grade school. But we get together usually every month for dinner. Of course, we couldn't really do that for several months.
Yeah,
and we missed that. So we started doing like a video call, you know, once or twice a month. And even though we can go back out now, some of them don't want to, a couple of them are afraid to because of family situation. So we're still doing the video call. And that's just so nice because it's a way to keep in touch, you know, which we didn't do before.
I agree. So we did something similar, like in my husband's family, as I just said, my mother-in-law will not leave the house, basically, because she is at high risk. And so she's got 6 children and 30 grandchildren, and some are in Pennsylvania, and some of them are in Maryland and New York. And so she was and she does not know how to do computers. So we created a Friday night Zoom call, and I think we also have some in Wyoming. So we have them everywhere. So we created a Friday night Zoom call. So we just realized that we hit the year mark on those Zoom calls. And now do people bitch and I set her up. So I have to go over every Friday. I'm like, poor me, right? But it's like, so they'll say like, this is getting a little boring. I said, it might be boring for you, but we're keeping her thriving. You know, she has seen more of her family than she ever has. And for that family that's in Maryland that's struggling, you know, then we're there for them. And it was just like a cool thing, you know. And so we kept that on the calendar. You know, we did decide we were going to play more games because we did play bingo a couple times, and that was super fun. So we're doing like a baby, like pictures, like who's that baby, like slide deck for this week. So we're trying to make it more fun. And I also took what we learned on that side of the family and I'm trying it on my side of the family. I don't know how it's going to work. Anybody else have anything that they thought of that they want to do more of, or that this is just making you think about something that you're inspired to want to try?
Okay, I'll talk again.
Bonnie's going to go.
I think sending out note cards to more people is a great idea. It's keeping in touch.
Absolutely. And you know what? So my dad, who just came in, I want to tell you a little story about him, right? So he's actually coming back in, so he might come and say hi to us. You know, I kind of gave him this before. I don't know if you saw me. But he is he got his real estate license at 80 years old. So it took him like 4 times to pass that test, right? So he got licensed. He's a 60-year veteran of a football coach. He's been a football coach for 60 years. And so he's inspired at least a good amount in the community. So my mom passed away a couple of years ago. So we created a system for him where he actually takes so I said, like, and this is actually, I'm going to tell you the truth. I said this to all of the people in the company, right? So this was like 25 agents. I said, get that paper, cut out the catch people doing things right, laminate them, send them to them so they have an extra copy. Send them to their kids. If it's a kid that's there, send them to their grandparents, right? So great idea. We started, everybody did it gangbusters. They were all working. People stopped doing it, but not my dad. He's done it every day for, got to be like almost going on the 4th year. He does the sports section, right? Because he's 40. And he cuts out the high school stars and the people who are in the paper. He laminates it. He does his own thing on it. And he, puts a special little message about being part of our team and, and sends them out. Right. So it's one of these things that it just keeps it going and it keeps it really positive. And it's something that is so easy to do and costs almost nothing, So I agree, Bonnie. I think that why we get away from that is because it's not flashy. It's not sexy, right? Sitting there writing a note is not sexy. And of course, then we complicate it by, I'm going to do send out cards. So I get pictures out there. That's awesome, right? And when you have pictures, that's great. But nothing, like my cards are right here, right? Like, I'm like, we got to do them. Like, it's, you know what? The favorite card that I have by far to people is my doggy one, my doggy sympathy, and we custom made these also. Right. And what it just says is, pets leave footprints on the heart, and we put a bunch of animals on there. So, when you go to Facebook and you're looking around and you see all these people who are like, frowny faces and, my dog just crossed the rainbow bridge or whatever, like send them a card. And it's like, so if you go to Facebook, you will have more than 5 people a day to send a card to, right? Facebook tells you all the birthday friends for the month. So spend an hour like on the 31st and write the cards out. Write it in a little tiny little bit of pencil on the back, what day to send it. So it's not there 3 weeks early. It's really like, I think it's just a huge impact. And I have a whole training on that. Like, don't get me going when we got 5 minutes left, because I totally agree with you. Does anybody else? Oh yes, I love it. That's so see, she's classy. You'll notice I'm not classy. Like I dressed in pearls today to fake it out, but you know what? I wear black all the time. Anyways, so does anybody else have something that was thinking about what you're going to, I want to hear somebody be courageous and tell me what they're putting on their don't do list. I'm serious.
Don't you?
Guys, you got to get rid of the stuff, right? We're in transition. Blame it on COVID. I'm not kidding. Like really, like, and don't give up CRS. That's not the thing I'm talking about, right? So like find that thing, that time suck. And again, once you track your time for like a month solid, you'll know what that time suck is. That thing that's the eyeball roll, right? And, or the thing that you've been using to escape. I didn't realize how much I was using shopping to escape, until I couldn't go shopping. I'm not kidding. Like, and I was like, wow. So then I'm like, use your powers for good. What can you do with that time? So anyway, all right. So I'm going to keep on moving because we got a couple more minutes. And so this right here is a picture of my 2 daughters. And this was actually the nurse and when she had her surgery. And to me, like, this is one of the biggest reasons why I do all of what I do. I wanted to be a mom that could give them the ability to go to school, to go to college, wherever they wanted, to launch them, however they needed it. I mean, that was my big why. And being too busy, like, it's like that trap, right? We pick real estate because it's flexible, but flexible doesn't mean that we work 24/7, right? So to me, it was like, I set myself, again, back to that 4 appointments. When I hit the number that I wanted to make off of my businesses, right? I decided to keep that number and work less, right? I didn't decide to go and, like, now that I could do it, figure out that I could make more. I didn't want to make more. I wanted more time. these guys were part of it. You know, again, it's to get rid of those negative leaders and go back and really do that fear setting exercise, because that fear setting exercise will show you so much. Anyways, my challenge to you is to go through these exercises, and so you have the download of this and also that exercise I just gave you on agentrising.com. In the blog, it's called news, right? So they're already there. I will be changing out that thing and getting rid of that picture I don't have permission for, but I just thought if I was explaining it. So what is your trim tab? What was the thing that happened with you? And again, you don't have to share it, but the one thing that maybe you said during this pandemic, so let me just use my mother-in-law for an example, right? She's got 6 daughters-in-law, and I was always on the bottom of the totem pole. And it was a big family joke. They're like, because I'm like, why? Like, I'm awesome, you know? And I was always on the bottom. And then during the course of the year, like serving her and being there and, you know, realizing and sitting there with her, giving her the gift of time, like, you know, has been really enjoyable for me and has been a really important part of my life that I didn't have time for when I was driving all around on different things. So, you know, take a look in. Let's find the nuggets of wonderfulness that came from this all. And in your trim tab, is it time to course correct? And as I say here on the bottom, it says, my boat got smaller, right? My vision for myself changed a little. And I realized that I wanted to maximize those positive things. And I got rid of a lot of the negative. And you know what? It's been a year now since I got rid of a lot of them, and everybody is still standing. You know? So it's like, we think that we're going to just completely destroy people if we let them out of our lives. Guess what? You know? So this is me. As I say, agentrising.com has the news. Now listen, when you go to so it's the website is just turned over. It's in process. Some of the things we talked about will be available in the next week. The Rise Planner. We do corporate trainings. So if you want to get your company, that picture I showed you of like all of the planners on the table with a blow dryer, that, by the way, the erasable ink, one of the ways you erase the ink is with a blow dryer, right? I kind of do the good old fashioned, give it a little wipe down, but that's all part of the training. So those things are available if that's something you think might be interesting for you. They're not up yet because I wanted to get the school up. The school is, as I said, has been kind of busy and crazy. So as you go to, it's going to ask if you want to be an Agent Rising, which is my most weekly email that goes out, and it will cover a lot of the things that we're covering. And you know, if there's anything I can do for being to service for you, I'm happy to do that. And this is where you can find me. All right, any questions before? I'm going to just take us off share so that we can see each other's cute little faces. How y'all feeling? That was
very invigorated.
Yeah, you know, but isn't that what life is meant to be? Right? Like, to me, I think I'm going to actually, who do I have on here? I'm going to take a picture of you guys. Okay, so everybody smile. All right, ready? Ron, you do what my husband does. You go so no one can see your face. You're part of the witness protection program, you know? So everyone's like, how is Dan doing on the videos, right? Because I'm at my mother-in-law's house. I'm not home with him. And I'm like, why? You can't tell by the outline how he's doing? And and again, I have ring lights and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, Danny, let me just set you up. He's like, don't even think about it. Oh. Anyways,
I've taken about 6 pages of notes, and you know, when I listen to you, sometimes it just like makes me think of other stuff. So I'm writing down, okay, I need to do this, this, and this each month, you know. I'm really kind of working on my marketing plan, which I have in my, you know, written down, but I need to add to it. And, you know, just, I want to focus more on my top 50 this year and just reaching out to them on a more regular basis.
And you know what? This has been this is using a bad thing for good, right? The virus is bad, but the connection, people just are so, like, their hearts are so open right now. And the appreciation of every little thing you do is so amplified. Like, I've never had people be more grateful for it. And they call me, like, I was laughing. I guess I saw someone on the news, like Lady Lasagna. Like, I make a mean lasagna. And so I deliver lasagna out to so many people. And it's, so they like, Lady Lasagna's coming. But it's just like, you know, for that man who is not ready to sell his house yet, but he's going to, you know, and I bring him like food once a week. He's like, you know, and now it's almost like Pavlov's dog. He's waiting at the door when I come, you know, and I'm, you know, and so but it's just that small stuff. And, you know, I came from a big family. I never even know that you could make something for just 1 or 2 people. Like that has never been in my vocabulary, you know?
I do have one question for you, Kate.
Sure.
When do you sleep?
Good question. So I go to bed every night at about, well, depending. When I have school, it gets over at 8. So I go to bed by about 9:30. And then on other nights, if it's been a long day and whatever, like probably about like 9. But I do take a nap every day, right? So I basically go home during that little middle, like that slump part of the day, and I take a nap. And that gets me ready for the second half of the day. But honestly, I want to tell you something, Kim. Like, I was a person trapped in that busyness thing. I thought it was so cool to be busy. I think it's insulting or whatever. I'm not insulting, but it's not a compliment when someone says you're so busy, because what they're leaving out is the for me, right? You're so busy. You're too busy for me. And when I realized that, I'm like, that's not my goal. That was never my goal, right? My goal was to free up time to be able to enrich the lives of the people I wanted to enrich, not to be so busy. And I'm so bad that I'm so busy. You know, that was never the idea, you know? And so, but I didn't know that. Like, I got caught in a trap, you know, and I think a lot of us do. And the other trap that I got caught in was, but I was not successful, was being like number one, right? I always knew I didn't want to be number one because I wanted to do other things. But then when I wasn't number one, guess what I wanted? Number one, right? So it had like that. And so this has been a really clarifying time. And, you know, and honestly, I have to say this, if you guys practice your no, you will find that so many of the things that you want come, like now there is energetically enough space on your plate for those things, you know? And so whether it's sewing or, again, gardening or making Hallmark movies, Jim, you know, look at his background. I told him he was in one of my Hallmark movies, you know, whatever. So whatever it is, like, you'll find time for it and your business will blossom. And if you're not working like on those people who like just drain you and suck you dry and try to like chew at your commission and yell at you and whatever, if you've taken those people out of your life, you know, and you've made room for people who are wonderful that you can serve, you know, what you will find, I think, what I found was that everything was much more enjoyable, you know? And, you know, as far as leadership goes, this is just another piece. I know you guys are leaders in CRS and whatnot, but I am involved in leadership. And when I started saying no to committees and no to things that I like, I mean, I never thought I could say no. And then last year was the year of no. I'm like, nope. I didn't say hell no, even though that's what the answer says to say. I just said, no, thank you. I just really can't fit it in, you know, or I really can't do that right now. And you know, but who cares what the reason is, right? And so, but you don't have to do it. They found someone else to take my place pretty darn easily. And no one suffered. No one suffered one little bit, you know? So it doesn't matter. Take care of yourself, right? And create that life that you want. Because that is what it's about, right?
Right. Absolutely.
That what you want and what you want for your families, you know, or whoever those people are that are important to you, you know, and just go love on them. And enjoy your life. Anyways, that's my little spiel. I am happy to answer any more questions. I know you guys have like a little bit of a meeting to do. I think I stayed right about in our time frame.
Yep, you were good. And some people did have like office meetings. I told them, look, just stay as long as you can and then go. But no, you know, I really appreciate what you talked about today and the access to this on your website too.
Yes. And the other thing is, anything that I have on the website, take it, right? Anything is yours. I believe in abundance. I believe that we all get better together. And again, I love realtors. Like that's what as I said, that was my surprise when I started teaching class, is that, you know, we have hearts of gold, you know, and the way that we serve people that no one will ever know about, you know, because you know, people aren't going to brag and say, well, yeah, you know, she, whatever, did this for me when I couldn't pay for it. And she did that or whatever. They don't tell the people like the awful things that they did to you. Right. And so, but whatever, your higher power knows, right? That's what I always say.
Right. Well, thanks, Kate. If there's no other questions, we'll just say goodbye. But I really want to thank everyone for being on today. And Bonnie, who is our RVP this year from Florida.
Oh, yes.
She is our RVP this year, so we're happy to have her.
Thank
Bonnie,
you.
it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Did
you
you
too.
recognize that accent of hers, Kate?
Oh, I know.
I'm not a Floridian.
There you go. Right from my hometown, huh? Where you from? New York. Yes, there you go. I love it. That's what my sister-in-law is. Yes. And you do sound like the mortgage person who just helped her buy a house there. Oh my gosh,
well.
we had so much fun. Well, you all were delightful, and I so appreciate you. And please just let me know if there's anything I can do to serve you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to say end.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks,
bye, guys.
everyone.
Great to see
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.